welcome to this week's episode of Dancer Talks. My name is McCall Sheets, and I'll be your host. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Hannah Newman to this week's episode.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here with you, McCall.
Hannah, can you tell me a little bit about your dance journey and how you got to be where you are today?
I guess it all started when my mom asked me when I was 3 or 4 if I wanted to take dance class. She noticed I was just kind of dancing around the living room, and she thought maybe I'd be interested in it. She was a dancer all through high school, and of course I said yes. I think I say yes to most things then and now. And so she enrolled me in creative movement at Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, and that's where I trained until I was 18. Mostly ballet, 1 modern class a week, maybe 2, a jazz class here and there. And as I was thinking about what to do after high school, I was auditioning for companies, but also for colleges and trying to figure that out. And that spring semester of my senior year, there were 2 pieces that we were all in. We were in Napoli, Strict Bournonville, and then we were doing a contemporary ballet piece by Alan Obeser, who was a former dancer at Pittsburgh Ballet Theater and current founder and artistic director of Texture Contemporary Ballet in Pittsburgh. Dancing those 2 pieces at the same time just really made me realize I want to do contemporary ballet. Napoli just felt like I was trying to fit my foot into a shoe that didn't fit, I guess. And I think it's beautiful. I love watching other people do it, but contemporary ballet just felt like exciting to me and what I wanted to pursue. So with that, I decided to go to the Ailey Fordham BFA program where we met. And that was a shock a little bit to come from strict ballet, 1 modern class a week that was more like eclectic modern. It wasn't necessarily Horton or Graham or Lamone, into Ailey, and you're a small fish in a big, big pond, and you're in New York City was a little overwhelming. So freshman year, I think, was tough, and then you slowly kind of find your footing throughout the years of college. But yeah, then after college, I graduated. I double majored in English and dance. I was not thinking I was going to use the English degree at that point. Ended up kind of applying for jobs around that as I was auditioning for dance jobs and just trying to figure out what to do. And I got an apprenticeship with Perry Dance Contemporary Dance Company, where I still dance. I was an apprentice for a year. Pause on apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is hard, but was very worthwhile. And I think just really taught me some key skills about learning everyone's parts and just knowing everything. And there were definitely a lot of times where I was jumping into stuff and I had not officially been understudying that part, but if I knew it and I could say, hey, I can go in, you go in and they see you dance that role, but also they see the responsibility you took to learn that role. I do think part of that is why I got hired the following year as a company member. Someone got injured in a piece that I had actually done at Ailey, Jay Manju's Into the Light, and someone in the opening solo got injured the Wednesday before our season, and I knew it, and I jumped in and was probably more terrified than I've ever been on stage in my life. So, but that's it. So I've been there ever since.
How did your college experience influence what you did after college?
I think the biggest way is probably kind of what I said before about just exposing me to the breadth of the dance world. What I'd known in Pittsburgh was the Pittsburgh dance scene was ballet, classical dance, and Ailey, and just being in New York and getting to go to the Joyce or Fall for Dance at City Center just exposed me to so much more. One example of how that kind of landed me at Perry Dance, my sophomore year of college, Igal choreographed a piece for our class. And you had to audition for it and be selected, and I was not chosen for it. And I was pretty bummed out. I really liked the work and wanted to be in it, but just kind of tucked it away in my brain. Maybe this is a company that I would be interested in. And I guess at that point I wouldn't have thought I was a fit for it since he didn't take me in his piece, but it felt like a style that I enjoyed. Yeah, so then after school, that's kind of what gave me the impetus to go and audition for the company. Beyond that, in the English major also set me up for what I thought would be a second career after dance when I'm in my 30s or 40s and can't dance anymore. But I think it actually set me up really well to have kind of a side hustle, I can call it, during my time with Perry Dance, since Perry Dance is mostly a part-time company. So I think being at a university that allowed you to double major and that had a really strong academic program also was a really good opportunity.
What was your favorite moment dancing with Perry Dance?
I really liked last summer we were on an international tour, and we ended the tour. Our final show was in Friedrichshafen, Germany, like a really small town that had this cool arts festival that was mostly visual art and like crafts, handicrafts. So we were one of the only dance performances, and we were performing in this circus tent pretty much, which was very cool, kind of different. And it was a largely non-dance audience. It was our last show of the tour. We'd spent 2 weeks together. And I can't say, the interesting thing was I can't say it was my best show, but collectively as a group, it was a really great show. And the audience was great, and just something about that combination. At the end, I think it was the longest applause we've ever gotten in my 4 years with the company.
Wow.
And I think it was interesting to experience that, not feeling like it had been my personal best, but feeling like as a group, I contributed something to this group, and it was our collective best. So I think that's a special experience. Yeah, just looking back on that and picturing that.
Yeah, because when you're touring, you become so close, and you go from the highs and the lows together, and you're traveling together, you're dancing in stages you haven't really gotten used to yet.
Right. And I think that goes to show that when you're dancing on stage, you're a person, you're a group of people, but you're dancing on stage. It's not like you become something else. So I really believe the relationships you have off stage with the people you're dancing with impact how you perform and how much emotion or power you can deliver to an audience. And I think that performance for me really kind of proved that.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me a little bit about the work you do behind the scenes with performing arts organizations.
So I'm the grants and communications coordinator for Shining Light, and also the grants coordinator, former company coordinator for Perry Dance. So Shining Light is an organization that takes performing arts workshops and programs into prisons using professional artists to lead teams of incarcerated men or women, depending on which facility we're in. And they together collaborate and create dance, theater, spoken word, and vocal pieces. And those combine to create a final production that they all perform together for like 500 other people from the general population of the facility. So it's a really amazing organization. Right now, during COVID, there's a lot of other things going on, like doing some distance programming, asking them for creative submissions to us that we're producing on the outside and then sending back in as a DVD that can be broadcast on the prison TV channel. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We're in the middle of production, and our artists, we have, I think, 25 artists working on producing 19 pieces from both men and women in 9 different state prisons in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and South Carolina. So it's exciting. I can't wait to see where it ends up. My job, I started as an artist with them in 2014 doing their performance tours, as you did, and then moved into an admin role. I led the first workshop dance team, and I can't believe they let me do that. I was a 21-year-old who had pretty much never taught dance before, teaching a group of people who have also never really danced before. And so I think just throughout my time with Shining Light as both an artist and in the admin kind of position, it's just really shown me that dance is powerful. And I think we say that as dancers and we believe that, but I don't think we get to see it played out a lot. You're in class, you're in rehearsal, you're just kind of doing the grind, but to realize this impacts people's lives and can actually move them and can actually communicate something meaningful. I think Shining Light has totally transformed my view of my purpose as a person, but also as a dancer, that there's a responsibility to communicate something real to people because that is powerful. So that was my experience more as an artist, and now as an administrator, it's really great to be involved in behind the scenes and trying to write grants to make these things happen financially. Sometimes hard because I would rather be inside hanging out and working with the men and the women that we work with. Lots of amazing people. But it's great. It's really flexible. It works with Perry Dance really well. I just work part-time for Shining Light, and then Perry Dance is usually part-time. When we're full-time, things get a little packed in my schedule. And then for Perry Dance, I started helping out as an intern with grants when I first joined the company, and then after my 6-month internship, moved into the role of grants coordinator for the company. And that's been really cool too. It's been really cool to feel like I'm helping, in a weird way, helping make my job possible as a dancer. And it's cool to have kind of both sides of understanding what's going on to get the money to put on the performances that I'm also dancing in. So it's been It's been really good. It's been fun to work with our executive director on a lot of it. And then when the company coordinator left, I guess 3 years ago, they also asked me to do that role. And so I did all 3 of those administrative roles for a little while and danced, which was a little bit much. So I had to step out of the company coordinator about a year ago. But I think it was a really great experience, like getting to plan tours and understanding what goes into that. And we need a warm-up class and which studio is available, and organizing that with the presenters was just a really good experience.
What's a day in the life dancing with the Paradance Company?
So usually we have company class, which is also open class at Paradance, so anyone can take at 10. So 10 to 11:30 we take class either with Igal or Antonia Franceschi, who's former City Ballet dancer, teaches at Paradance. And then after that we have rehearsal 11:30 to 2:30 most of the time, unless it's pretty close to performances. January through March, right before our spring season, is usually really busy. So sometimes we'll rehearse at Paradance for 3 hours and then move to a different studio and rehearse for a couple more hours, something like that. So then that's when things get, it's a little bit of a tug and pull with your other job, because all of us have second jobs as well, some of which are more flexible than others. Other people do arts admin or work at a restaurant or work at a gym or teach, tutor, a lot of different things. So if we don't have rehearsal later in the afternoon, then we'll go do our other jobs. So it's sometimes hard to do that switching in your brain. There's like a great part about it, like you were saying, it makes you more well-rounded, but it also requires a lot of focus that can be challenging, I think. And to really feel like you're giving 100% at Paradance in rehearsal, in class, but you're also giving 100% to whatever your other job is and not letting that fall by the wayside. So I think that's challenging but rewarding at the same time.
Do you have a crazy onstage moment?
A lot. I feel like I have a lot of crazy onstage moments. We were on tour at Butler University in Indianapolis. It was a great show. They have a big dance program there, probably most people know that. So there's lots of dancers in the audience, they're super excited. We had a good show. It's the last section of the last piece, and usually it goes lights, walk on, music, and instead it went lights, music, and we were all off stage like, okay, what's happening? So we all were like, all right, we're just gonna improv on. We all do, except one dancer who had a quick change and didn't have time to finish the quick change, who was my partner for the next section. So it was just this whole moment of like, what's gonna happen for 16 counts? And then the music cuts out and it's silent for like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. And we all just keep dancing in silence and are trying to stay together and really have no idea. The music comes back in at the same spot. And so we kind of had to like, we don't know, it's not like an 8 count thing. So we didn't know where we were in the music and pretty much just improv'd our way back to being on the music. And eventually my partner just walked on stage and we just like started doing our duet. So it was just a crazy moment of trying with 8 people to feel what's happening, but not make it look like it was a big mistake. Basically someone had muted the music in the middle of the section and then unmuted it. So.
How has being vegan helped you with your dancing and your lifestyle overall?
So I kind of grew up halfway vegan. My mom has been vegan since I was probably 13. So we ate that way at home, but when I would go out or I was at a friend's house, I would eat whatever. And I went vegan my freshman year of college. And honestly, it was originally a choice that I'm like embarrassed now to say was because I was wanting to lose weight. I was feeling really insecure that first year at Ailey in how I fit in there as a dancer, and that felt like the thing that I could control. And so I decided to do that as a means of controlling my body. I realized that was so damaging, but ended up enjoying eating vegan and felt like I actually had higher energy levels. So I feel like eating vegan has helped me maintain stable energy. I think it's increased my stamina. It's hard to measure that, but I feel like it also helps my muscles bounce back more quickly the next day after like a long rehearsal or performance day, or even if you get off a plane, there's a lot of inflammation in your body in any of those things. And so I feel like eating vegan is not always, but can be really anti-inflammatory. So I think that's really been a help to me, especially because I'm someone who's pretty tight naturally. And so I think trying to like keep the inflammation low and keep my body like looser has been helpful. Doesn't mean I'm flexible. Veganism does not make you flexible. I'm just going to be clear about that. I wish. So yeah, that's kind of how I felt it's helped me.
What inspires you to keep dancing?
For me, definitely my faith in God and believing that He's placed me where He's placed me for a reason and purpose. So even if I'm dissatisfied or discouraged in where that place is or what I'm doing there, and I think, an aside, I feel like people say for dancers, you have to love it every day or don't do it. It's too hard to not love it every day. I actually don't think that's true at all. I think there is probably no job on earth you're going to love every single day of your life. And I think on those days when you didn't get cast in a piece, your ankle is hurting and you have no idea why, and it's been hurting for a month, and you have a show coming up, like all of those different frustrating situations you deal with, I think for me to just know there's a reason why I'm here, and I believe that God has put me here for this time, for this day, no matter how difficult, definitely keeps me going, I think, when I wouldn't normally. And trying, and also in that realizing I'm doing the work I'm doing, I'm not doing what so-and-so over here is doing, and feeling confident and comfortable and not giving into comparing myself. Everyone loves that quote, comparison is the thief of joy, but I think that's so true. The moment I start thinking, oh, I really want to be doing that, I'm not appreciating the gifts I've already been given by God where I currently am. So I think this is really good to be talking about. This is good for me to speak to myself, but yeah, that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. What is some advice that you would give to a dancer that wants to follow a similar path to you?
I'd say if you go to college, if that's your path, try to double major. And I know that's not possible everywhere and in every program. If it's more of a conservatory program, I know that's hard, but and it's hard to double major, and I just think if you're paying that money for school, you better get the most out of it and set yourself up either for a second career after dance or set yourself up for doing something now that could feel really fulfilling to you, and that if you have a second passion that you enjoy, whether that's writing or, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people in my BFA class, people minored in math, philosophy, sociology, or majored in those things. So just a lot of different topics people were also interested in. So that's one thing. I think also balancing and knowing for yourself, especially in that first year out of college or first year out of high school or whatever that is for you, balancing how much you're willing to do unpaid versus advocating for yourself. I think for me, dancers don't talk a lot about, I'm not getting paid for this, or I am getting paid for this, but it's not enough, or they said they'd pay me, but they didn't pay me, and all of those different issues. And so I feel like I told myself I'm willing to work, because I was an apprentice at Perry Dance, I'm willing to work unpaid for a year, and after that point, I would need to leave if I'm not hired. And so thankfully that worked out, but I think knowing for yourself what that timeline is, if that's 3 months, if it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then at that point, either advocating for yourself, and if there's no position, if there's no pay available, then you move on to the next thing, but kind of knowing the value that you've brought to the organization, bringing that to the leadership, and then letting them make a decision. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like don't let it go on and on being unpaid. Do not let yourself be taken advantage of. But if you're saying for yourself, this is a valuable opportunity to me, I think I'll gain skills. For me, it was the grant internship. I think I'll gain skills in this that I can leverage later for pay. And that's what I did, and that worked. I'm not gonna say that will always work, but I think that's an important thing to really make a conscious choice about, so that you don't end up in a situation of, I haven't been paid in 5 years for my dance work, or something like that. And then the last thing is cultivate your life outside of dance. Like, do things with your friends, go have picnics. It doesn't have to be dance all the time. I don't dance on the weekends unless you're performing, but I really feel for myself that's my boundary of, on the weekends I do other things I enjoy. I read in the park, I cook. I don't actually bake that much, but I aspire to bake. And so different things like that, like just be a person and get involved in your church or your faith community. Yeah, I think that all informs who you are on stage and what you have to offer people. If you don't have any life experiences, you don't have as much to offer an audience when you're on stage, I guess. So
now it's time for the rapid fire round. Subway or taxi?
Subway, cheaper.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Ballet or contemporary?
Contemporary. Ooh, pause. I always loved ballet class, but contemporary rep.
Socks or ballet shoes?
For ballet class, ballet shoes. Anything else, socks.
Shorts or tights?
Shorts. Haven't worn tights since I left Ailey.
Biggest pet peeve during dance class?
Lack of spatial awareness, hands down.
A dancer that you look up to?
This is gonna be corny, but all the dancers in Perry Dance, I look up to the way they work and their work ethic, and the energy they bring to the studio inspires me.
New York or LA?
New York.
Marley or carpet?
Marley. Oh, please.
Rehearsal or performance?
That's a tie.
Okay.
I love the rehearsal process, but I love performing.
Broadway or concert dance?
Concert dance.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. I think I'm too old for TikTok. I don't like Instagram either, really.
Hair up or down?
I don't like performing with my hair down. It stresses me out.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Horton or 1,000 Crunches?
Horton. I love Horton. I miss Horton. I've taught Horton a couple times for Perry Dance. I got the book. I want to do the Horton teacher training.
That sums up our rapid fire round, and thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Dancer Talks. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Make sure to follow Hannah on her social media and keep up with Perry Dance and everything that they're doing. Thanks for watching and keep dancing.